I welcome you to our September council meeting. I ask that you please stand and join us in a moment of silence to honor our troops that have served, currently serve, and have served and give the ultimate sacrifice. But this evening also, I would ask that you please take a moment to reflect upon the police that have been murdered in the line of duty this year. I think that it's telling that, unfortunately, they have not been recognized the way that they should. Thank you. Please join us in a salute to the flag. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it serves, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll ask that Deputy Clerk please read the sunshine notice.
This meeting is held pursuant to the New Jersey Open Public Meeting Act. Adequate notice of this meeting was advertised on January 11, 2015 edition of the Trend and was provided to the Star-Ledger, Daily Record, and North Jersey Herald News on January 11, 2015. Adequate notice of this meeting was also posted on the municipal bulletin board by the acting borough clerk and provided to those persons or entities requesting notification.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Frida? Absent. Councilman O'Doherty?
Here.
Councilman Barish?
Here.
Councilman Cobell? Absent. Councilwoman Sventi?
Here.
And Councilman Giantonio?
Here.
Thank you. I have a rather short report this evening for the public and the council. I would like to indicate to you that I have asked Certified Valuations, who is currently conducting the reval for the borough, to hold 2 additional public meetings to address questions that the public may have about the process. I've asked that they please coordinate with the Deputy Clerk on having a meeting over at the Faison Lake Clubhouse and also at the Smoke Rise Inn. We have not heard back from either of those groups, but I think it's important as we move forward with the revaluation that we continue to allow the public the opportunity to question and understand what the process is. So once again, those dates are Wednesday, September 30th at 7:30 for Faison Lakes, and 7:30 on October 14th, which I believe is a Wednesday as well, over at the Smoke Rise Club. And we'll confirm that with both those organizations as we move forward. We have a number of items for introduction this night for new business. I'll reserve comments till we get to those points. Turn it over to the council for council committee reports. For recreation, I know that Councilman Frieda is not with us tonight, so does anyone from recreation have a report? You want to read it? There's something there.
Sure, recreation news. We're excited that tomorrow morning's delivery of the bluegrass sod for installation. The installation will take about 3/4 of the day. We should be mowing the grass within the next 3 weeks. The weather forecast for the next 10 days is perfect for the roots to take. Melanie and Todd met with the irrigation company to extensively test and be trained on the new system. Melanie will monitor the watering this weekend, as the new grass cannot miss any of the cycles that will be set. Melanie asked all wet irrigation to be on call in the event there is any type of malfunction. They agreed to respond to any calls in the event of the problems of the system. Preparations are being made to fence off the new grass. Some snow fencing was found, but more will be required. Melanie is going to attend the home football game Saturday night to make sure no one attempts to go on the field until it is secured. In addition, Chief Schwartz agreed to have all officers on alert each evening to make sure no one walks or drives on the new planting. Research is already being done as to what project could be Phase 2. An analysis of the Kinnelon Recreation Department, Park, the KRP commonly known as, utility fields, ball fields, are well into progress. In addition, more research is going on regarding upgrading the municipal game field. A pickleball demonstration has been scheduled for Thursday, October 1st at the Booton Avenue Tennis Courts. Recreation Commissioner Jeannie Armstrong will be on hand with Melanie to demonstrate the game and gauge interest for a regular league. Jim Frieder has arranged to borrow equipment from the high school to use in the demo. The demo will be from 10 a.m. to 12 noon. Anyone who attends will get to play this increasingly popular sport. All sports have begun with record numbers of registrants. Flag football kicks off this Saturday. If anybody attended last week's games, it was quite nice to see everybody back on the field down here at the municipal fields. And that's the end of Jim's report.
Great job, Dan. It sounds like Melanie has a busy weekend, so good luck with that, okay? We'll now move on to Public Works and Utilities. Council President O'Doherty.
Thank you, Mayor. And I have a very short report also. We have very little salt. We only have about 200 ton on hand. We're taking the equipment out, and I asked John to order more salt in while it's nice and dry, because you get the accurate tonnage when it's dry out. So we will be, but we don't have a lot in our budget. But we will be probably have to make some transfers in November. We have $20,000 left on our budget for salt right now. As far as our construction, it's moving along quite well. We still intend to have the DPW facility open to the public in the middle of October so that anybody can bring in their leaves and brush debris. The building, as you can see, the new structure is up. The roof is currently being installed. It should be completed by next week. We'll be pouring concrete in that building next week. The doors and windows are expected to be on the old structure within the next 2 weeks. Now, all the inspections are going according to plan. And the leaders and gutters you asked for over at the KRP, man, it's being done in-house. We usually do that.
Great.
And also we're doing the wood soffits, and it's being done in-house for around $600, so it saves the cost for us going outside to any contractors.
Great.
And then told them I'd help them supervise it.
Okay.
That's the end of my report, Mayor.
Thank you, Dan. Now moving on to Public Safety and Technology. Councilman Barish.
Thank you, Mayor. Also a short report. Progress on our Tanker 33 specs. Potential discussion or action for tonight would be that Houston-Galveston co-op that we've been talking about. I believe Mr. Medeo has been investigating that, and it also may be going down to the QPA in Pequannock for review as far as due diligence on that. So I'll just leave that open for discussion later on. Only 14 calls for last month. This month of September has been pretty busy, as a matter of fact. I think it's probably about a dozen calls just in the last 4 or 5 days. And as always, members are desperately needed for the fire company. Triborough had nothing to report. Technology, phones are in for most of Borough Hall. They're having some issues with porting some of the phone numbers over, so residents may be getting just constant ringing. It doesn't actually go to the auto attendant or to any of the numbers within the building. We're working on that. It was just a matter of those technicalities with CSRs, whatever those are, as far as you have to match the phone number with the address with something else in order to make the change from one carrier to another. So that should be done imminently. The mail server is up. We're in the process of handing new email addresses out to members of the boards and committee members so that we can be Oprah compliant. The PD email server replacement is scheduled for this week and is ongoing. And then briefly on the website, information's been posted there for the Historical Commission's the Lake Holes Pathway to History weekend tour. There's also information on that available on the Facebook page, and we'll continue to push that for that group. That's all I have. Thank you.
I know that Councilman Copel is not here this evening, so do either Councilman Giantoni or Councilman Barish have a report for Finance?
I do not.
Okay. Great. Thank you. Just remind the council once again to please lean into the microphone so the people in attendance this evening be sure to hear us. Moving on now to coordinating in open space, Councilwoman Sventi.
Another short report, Mayor. As previously reported, we're waiting for news from DEP, New Jersey DEP, as regards the infiltration or perk testing of the high school football field for the turf project. We're also working to set up a meeting between our coordinating committees, both for the Board of Ed and for the borough. We had come up with a date of the 28th, but when I saw the superintendent at a meeting last night, it was her feeling, as well as some of her committee, as well as mine, that we would like to be able to have the both attorneys there, both the Board of Ed's attorney and our attorney, and they were unable to make it on that date. So I have not heard anything back as to a new date or new dates to choose from. The Library Board of Trustees, their technologist, Gregory Gallett, is coordinating with Kinnelon Police Department on creating a seminar for Internet scams that target seniors. Probably after Halloween that will take place. Their Makerspace program is expanding to include a Silhouette cameo cutter. IndieFlex is a streaming independent video, is now available through the library's website. Patrons only need their library card to get started. Residents should go to the library's website and click on their technology tab to see all the digital offerings that are available for them. The library has hired Kathy Presti to join their children's team as their newest library assistant, and program coordinator Kim Christian has had several terrific programs coming up. Some of these are The Godfather's Daughter, Mike Ransom author book signing, wills and estate planning, babysitting certification, and pet CPR. Online registration for any of these programs are available through the library's event calendar, which is also available on their website. And they're having great success with their SquareUp.com, which is enabled them to accept credit cards and debit cards for any fees on late books, etc., and for some of their teen and adult programs. Phase 2 of LaCole's restoration, we're on track with that, and they're also, LaCole is having their Pathways Tour on October 10th and 11th. This event hosted nearly 100 visitors last year. And on October 17th, the 50th high school reunion reception for the class of 1965. The Open Space Committee is still waiting to hear as regards the award of a federal trail grant application. And we are sad to say that one of our high school seniors is leaving the committee this month. He is going away to college. We will miss Michael Propopoulos very much. And that, Mayor, is the end of my report. Thank you.
Thank you, Carol. Now moving on to Personnel and Ordinance, Councilman Giantonio.
Thank you, Mayor. First, regarding the personnel union contract negotiations, as we discussed at last week's workshop, we were finally able to come to a meeting of the minds with the union. It was a long time coming, but as the public may or may not know, it's difficult because negotiating with the union, not that they are difficult, but just the process is difficult, because we will discuss certain terms and I have to come back to the full governing board, run ideas by them, and then I go back to the union and tell them whether we agree or disagree with their position and their desires. So unfortunately it took a long time to get through it, but we did finally come to an agreement between the Personnel Committee and the union. We should be getting a draft of the new personnel contracts shortly. The union attorney is drafting it, so hopefully we will get that soon, in time for next month's workshop meeting so we can discuss it there. But I think both sides are satisfied with the result of the negotiations, and hopefully we can move forward. It's a 3-year contract. Unfortunately, it took so long to get it done that we're probably going to have to start negotiating in less than a year on the next contract, but at least that way we'll be ahead of the train instead of behind it, and we'll get the contract done earlier rather than late like we did this time. But I think it was a good result for all. This is kind of Personnel Committee / Finance Committee. We're still working on hiring a replacement for Linda Doig. We've had a number of resumes come in. We had one interview, and we discussed it last week at the workshop, and I think we're making good headway on that. There's some information we have to get first before we do anything, but again, I think we're going to come to a resolution on that issue fairly soon. Regarding ordinances, no new developments from the Planning Board on the sign ordinance. As we discussed at the workshop last week, we had discussed several months ago about trying to reintroduce the CCO ordinance, Certificate of Occupancy. I was not on the council when it was brought up once before, but I was made aware that the The last time a CCO ordinance was brought up, there was a good amount of opposition from the public. A large part of that opposition, my understanding from reading about it, was that there are a number of outstanding building permits in town, and people were concerned that they would go to sell their house and they would come up with 2, 3, 4 outstanding permits that would hurt or even prevent a sale of their house. Over the last, or a couple of months ago, the governing body discussed going through our building permits, the backlog of building permits, and there are quite a few, to try and resolve all of those. At last month's meeting, a member of the public expressed their concern with reintroducing the CCO ordinance, raising the similar arguments that were raised last time. So it is my hope that if we're able to go through all of the backlog of outstanding building permits, that the public's concern regarding selling their house and having to get a CCO may be assuaged. So we took by agreement, at last week's workshop, we agreed to take the CCO off the calendar until we're able to determine that we're making very good headway on the outstanding building permits. Once that is done, we will bring up the topic again and see if it's appropriate at that time to further discuss CCO ordinance. Lastly, the new ordinance regarding tree removal is on the agenda tonight, and I will reserve my remarks for when we get to that point, Mayor. Other than that, I am done. Thank you.
Thank you, Cliff. I know that Councilman Frieda has joined us. Councilman O'Doherty did an excellent job of reading your report.
I apologize.
He really should do that moving forward. He did a great job. But he just did a hell of a job with it. So,
well, I was at back to school night. I did text both of you, and Adam said it just came across. So,
well, I want to give you, Jim, no problem. I just want to give you the opportunity if you have anything else to report outside of your report this evening.
No, I mean, the only other thing I really had besides this report was Camelot has a $13,000 budget this year, which is our largest budget ever in Camelot. So we're excited about that. We're going to, the committee decided to break it up. About $8,000 is going to go towards school programs, and about $5,000 is going to go to parent education. So we're excited about that. This year, our focus on Camelot is going to be more of cyber safety for the kids, you know, with cell phones and computers and stuff like that. So our adult education is going to kind of try to combat what's going on with kids with their cell phones. And you know, a lot of times you go to this and you learn things that your kids are doing that you had no idea they were doing. So it's good they teach you how to lock their cell phones or how to check their cell phones or different stuff that we need as parents. Stress for kids. One of their slogans were nobody's raising an ordinary kid anymore, everybody's raising an extraordinary kid. So we need to combat the stress that the kids are feeling in the school systems to get straight A's and just to be the better player on the sports field. So stress is another issue that's going on in our school systems right now. Believe it or not, the counselors that were there says they're working with kindergartners in first grade that are having stress problems. So it's embarrassing to say that, but I think we need to really focus on that. And then e-cigarettes, which are, you know, now the newest rage, and something that we need to start focusing on in Camelot. But besides that, as you know, fireworks were canceled this year. Our fire inspector came in and said with the shape that the DPW building is in, he feels that he would not sign off on the permit for our fireworks, so the fireworks for K-Fest are also canceled. So I do promise you, though, in next September, K-Fest will be back, and it'll be better and bigger. So thank you, Mayor.
Thank you, Jim. Next order of business is hearing from the public. If anyone from the public would wish to be heard, please step forward, state your name and address for the record, and welcome.
Hi, my name's Carrie Spitz, and I'm from Tawako, and I'm also a member of the Coalition Against Pilgrim Pipeline. Pilgrim's looking to build 2 parallel pipelines from Albany, New York, down to Linden, New Jersey, and they'll be carrying Bakken shale oil, the most explosive oil in the world, as well as refined products like jet fuel. My home is, like many others in northern New Jersey, is being threatened by this pipeline, and it's proposed to go straight through Kinnelon as well. This pipeline poses a threat to public health, safety, and our property values. The pipeline also endangers drinking water like the private wells most of Kinnelon uses. I've hiked this route with Ken Dulski, who's here with me tonight, and we met a lot of residents of Kinnelon who have this going right through their backyard. And some of them have been threatened if they are not allowing Pilgrim to come on and survey their land. Pilgrim is sending them letters saying they're going to take with eminent domain, which they really don't have the power to do. Let's see. These hazardous material pipelines are unregulated, and this gives municipalities like Kinnelon wide-ranging authority to enact ordinances to protect the welfare of their residents regarding land use. At this point, resolutions against this pipeline have been passed by both houses of the state legislature, 5 county freeholder boards, and over 30 towns, including Kinnelon. This was a great first step, but we are now asking you to join 5 other towns who have taken further action to protect their residents by passing land use ordinances to restrict or prohibit unregulated oil pipeline construction. I'm sure you've gotten my email providing you with samples of these ordinances, but I also will leave you with copies of them tonight. I urge you to introduce an ordinance at your next meeting. Pilgrim has shown intent that they will be filing for permits this fall, and if the ordinance must be passed before that so it doesn't look discriminatory. If you'd like to speak to officials in any other towns who have passed this, I'm from Montville. I can put you in touch with people if you'd like to, but I thank you for your attention to this matter.
Great.
My name is Ken Dulski. I'm from Parsippany, and I wanted to provide a little bit more background on the possibility or the potential for towns like Kinnelon to pass an ordinance that would prohibit unregulated pipelines. Hazardous material pipelines, including oil lines, are unregulated because there are no federal or state regulatory bodies or processes that fully control the siting of these pipelines. PIMSA, the Hazardous Material Safety Organization, regulates oil pipeline safety, including construction, and FERC regulates oil pipeline commerce, but neither regulates pipeline siting. And New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection and the Army Corps of Engineers and a number of other organizations only look at environmental impacts. So there's really a gap in terms of who controls and who makes the final decision on where an oil pipeline would be sited. The Coalition Against the Pilgrim Pipeline, CAP, has an attorney who has been working for us on this for a while, and she and the Eastern Environmental Law Center have stated that municipalities have been delegated wide-ranging authority to enact ordinances to protect the welfare of their residents regarding land usage by the New Jersey legislature under the municipal land use law. This intent, plus the lack of any other regulatory bodies with zoning authority, means that municipalities have a high degree of control over oil pipeline siting. Therefore, the coalition developed ordinance language prohibiting unregulated pipelines that do not benefit local communities. Even if a pipeline company were to obtain the power of eminent domain, they would still have to comply with zoning laws. 5 other municipalities have passed this ordinance as a means of protecting themselves from these types of pipeline. While this has been precipitated by the current threat, municipalities should consider the current rate of energy infrastructure development in this country. Who would have thought 2 or 3 years ago that people in Kinnelon, Parsippany, and a bunch of other towns would be facing an oil pipeline that proposed to go through their towns? Nobody thought about it. With the development of oil and gas infrastructure, particularly oil in the United States, it only makes good, prudent, common sense to pass an ordinance that gives you some control over whether in the future another oil pipeline like this might be prohibited from coming through your town. Without ordinances, towns have very little means of protecting themselves. This is simply a prudent measure that every town, not just those on the proposed current pipeline, should consider whether the town is threatened today or not. It's important, as Terry said, to pass this ordinance before the oil pipeline company or any oil pipeline company files for permits. Right now, Pilgrim is saying, well, the proposed route has not been finalized, which means we don't know where it's going to go. We have some ideas, but we don't know for sure, and therefore, any town can say, I'm passing an ordinance against this without being discriminatory, because there is no official word from the pipeline company as to where they intend to go. It's also important to pass this ordinance before the pipeline process has gone too far, as the pipeline company could be grandfathered on the basis that it had already committed substantial resources such as surveying and obtaining easement agreements. So timing is important, and sooner is better than later. If you want to speak with attorneys or township officials in towns that have passed this ordinance, we'd be happy to facilitate that. And I'm also going to provide the contact information for the coalition attorney for your information tonight, and feel free to contact her anytime that you want. It should also be noted that municipalities need factual reasons for passing ordinances and should provide evidence that ordinances are needed. Basically, you need to back up your logic and claims in order to not to be subject to arguments that you're being unreasonably, that you are unreasonably constraining commerce. Therefore, in the other towns, the coalition has helped prepare several documents that provide the evidence and rationale for prohibiting unregulated hazardous material pipelines, and we'd be very happy to work with someone in Kinnelon to do the same thing. If you're interested in this kind of support, please identify a point of contact for us, and we'll be very happy to work with them. We have 3 documents that would address the 3 areas that zoning ordinances can protect: property value issues, public health issues, and the environment. Several of these, or 2 of these, are very generic and don't take a lot of effort in order to customize. The third, on environment, would need a little bit of work in order to customize it specifically for the Kinnelon area. So we're going to give you copies of the existing ordinances as well as some supporting letters from other town planning boards and the contact information. So we'd like to thank you very much for listening to us and considering this ordinance. We'd like to see this ordinance on a near-term town council agenda for a first reading. And I would just also mention that this is another strategy, just like the resolutions, that allows the towns to all stand together and to fight this. No town is going to fight this by themselves. And so with number of towns passing this ordinance, should there be legal action in the future, should whatever happen, whatever goes on, the towns can get together and have a common basis for fighting the pipeline as one. And that's the only way that we're going to be successful in defeating this. So thank you very much for your time.
Yeah, just as a matter of background, you should know that we held one of the first public hearings with Pilgrim here in this council chambers, and if you attended that meeting, I think it was clear what my position was and what the town's position was. I think that was an interesting meeting, but we were, I think, complimented by the fact that it at least provided some information to the public. We also, as you noted, passed a resolution a number of months ago. I think we were one of the first towns to do so in opposition to the pipeline. And secondly, I actually participated in a editorial board review with the Star-Ledger. I was the only mayor present at that meeting. So I've made it quite clear, I think this is in conflict with Highlands Preservation Area. Kinnelon's 99% Highlands Preservation Area, and with the pipeline in and potentially affect the aquifer here, I think is in conflict in a very, very large way. But please leave the ordinance with the deputy clerk this evening, and appreciate you coming out and providing us with some additional information. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you.
Is the contact information included in what you're giving us?
Yes.
Okay, great.
Deputy clerk's right here.
Right here.
Yes. I saved it.
Thank you so much.
And ours as well.
Great.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Anyone else from the public wish to be heard this evening?
Let me make a note and forward it to you.
Great, thank you.
Randall Charles, 69 Green Hill Road. Just want to follow up from our workshop last week where we provided the council with the 2013 and 2015 data surveys of the top 100 communities in New Jersey, and left it with everybody where Kinnelon has dropped significantly from number 43 to number 162, and I left it with the council and with a suggestion that we work through the coordinating committee with the Board of Ed, as well as to take it one step further, because this is a big issue. If you Google Kinnelon rankings, this, unfortunately, so it comes up, either Bing or AOL or Firefox, take your pick, it all comes up. But I'd just like to take it a step further, because it is rather important, because it takes 2 or 3 years to turn this around, having a great deal of experience in doing this type of advertorial education marketing programs through multimedia, either integrated with print or digital, is that you do consider some people in the town. We have some wonderful residents who have a great deal of experience in this type of education, marketing, media, and you avail yourselves to it, because this is something that takes time. It's trying to get an elephant to stop fast. It just takes time to turn it around and utilize the different media with the Board of Ed to educate people and keep it out in front of people just how great the virtues of Kinnelon are. We have a fabulous community here. Do I agree? Do we all agree with these? No. The problem is it's viral, it's out. So how do we best take advantage of it? Well, the best way is to come back with a simplistic plan. I'm more than willing to offer to join and work with people, work with the council to put together, if you want to call it a communication education program, to extol our virtues. But it is rather important we start to move on it, because time's everything. And particularly now with the reevaluation underway, I mean, there's probably a lot of apprehension on all levels, be it on the residents, be it on realtors, be it on whatever, selling prices. But it is important that we take advantage of this now, begin to formulate it, and let's move forward. Because it's not hard. It's consistency and dedication and delivering our messages. And again, we have such wonderful information to put out there on a 6-week, 8-week, whatever cycle we decide. It's not hard. It's consistency of message, and it's utilizing all the resources that are out there that probably won't cost any money. A lot of this is free. It's I hate to use the word, it's airtime, be it through the internet, be it through advertorials, whatever. Who knows if we even do another website. But that's where I wanted to leave it with, to take the next step. We really need to move together on this. This is something we can't put off. Because every time, the longer we delay it, the longer it takes to turn it around. And the visibility, the eyeballs, doing these searches between us and Millburn and Mountain Lakes, Pequannock's number 4, I mean, God love them, they're number 4. We have our work cut out for us. We've done nothing wrong, but yet we are the victims of it. And so quite a few other communities are not happy about it. But what do? We can't sit there and say, it's the methodology, because every town was evaluated through the same criteria. So what do? We take the next step. We turn the negative into a positive, and let's move forward. It's not hard. And I think it's important that this is everybody, this affects all of us, is that we come together on this, and let's move and get it going. It's not hard. And again, thank you. I hope you had a chance to look at this. It's interesting. I don't know what to tell you other than we fell. What do we do to fix it? How do we improve our image? Rightfully or wrongfully applied to us. How do we do it? And doing nothing is not the answer, particularly when this is not going to cost very much money, if any money. This is nothing more than sweat and time and all our intellectual capital that we have. And we have enough in this town to move forward and develop some very interesting tactics and simplified messages that can go out periodically, and we can rotate it and develop and reinforce our wonderful positive image of the borough. And that's where I want to leave it. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else in the public wish to be heard this evening?
Good evening. Bob Lewis, 37 Gravel Hill Road. Just follow up with what Rand said there. I think one of the things we could start doing is get the, because I had no idea that came up at the workshop. When are we going to get the minutes for the workshop up on the website? There's none for the entire year, so I was not able to go last week because of with football. It's hard to get to some of the workshops, but I like to still know what's going on. And there's not one on the website. There's not one workshop. There's no minutes for the entire year. And the last council meeting minutes was April. And I think part of the problem, Rand, might be communication, with the town and what's going on. I think that's one place we could start. I mean, I look at other towns' websites and it's up pretty fast. And if we don't know what's going on as a community, and we're doing a disservice to the community if we're not getting it out. I know it's important to me, and I think it's important to the members of this, to the people of this town. So when will we get the workshop minutes up on the website so we could see what's happening? Because most of the decisions and a lot of the work is done in the workshop, and it's just this forum here is really just brought to the people to hear what goes on. But the nuts and bolts happens in the workshops, and I'd really like to see the minutes. When?
They're all readily available via the clerk, just because they're not available on the website. Just to be clear, the minutes are operable by anybody that's interested in it. I believe that we have not approved...
So everybody has to go into the municipal and request them, Oprah, to get the minutes?
No, I'm just making clear that they are available, that it's not as if they're not available to the public, but I believe we have not approved the minutes from about the last 3 months.
Right. They're on there tonight.
Yeah, we have approval for minutes for May 2015, June 2015, and July 2015 at tonight's meeting.
We don't have a reason they're not on there, right? They should be on there. So we'll make sure they're on there, Bob.
It should be on the website.
They should be there.
Yeah. Must be an oversight.
We only have 3 people upstairs.
You can find a disc. Karen provides a disc. I get it every couple days and it works for 50 cents. It's available.
Mm-hmm. But it should be on the website. It will be. This seems so awkward here. It should be on the website. It's going to be on the website. End the conversation. It must have been an oversight. Because we're readily, we're willing to put anything on the website. We're not hiding anything.
There's none on for the whole workshop, not for the whole year.
Yeah, it'll be on there.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
I don't know if I can.
Anyone else from the public wish to be heard this evening?
Hi, good evening. Vincent Russo, 34 Lincoln Road. Mr. Mayor, could we have the previous gentleman who was talking about the survey just briefly give us the criteria that was used in the survey so we can understand what they're talking about and why our ranking has slipped?
That's a Board of Education slipping. It's not the borough, and it's actually ranking that was performed. I'm sure that Mr. Charles would be happy to meet with you to go through the criteria. We actually spent quite a bit of time discussing this at our workshop the other night, but I think that he is in fact working with the Board of Ed. He's appeared at a couple meetings as well. The information is readily available. It's a public document that clearly outlines what the methodology of calculation was. So,
was it test scores or things like that?
I think it's a combination of factors that come into play, but my understanding is that, Kinnelon has certain constraints. We don't have a downtown center. We don't have transportation that, could meet our expectations as a town. But the vast majority of this report, as I understand it, is really related to the school.
Okay. I think it's important, in the public, when 75% of our tax money is going to the schools.
Actually, only two criterias on that were the school system. A lot of it had to do with no downtown, and they asked for movie theaters close by or places, restaurants. That was like, it's all criteria that no matter how hard we try, we're not going to get more restaurants in Kinnelon. We're not going to have a downtown in Kinnelon.
So it's quality of life?
Yeah, it's a whole, like, stuff that I consider quality of life in Kinnelon, maybe according to this, does not come into play.
We're in downtown. Isn't this downtown Kinnelon?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Let me share this with you, because Randall was quite kind enough to share this with us. It also has property taxes as one of the criteria as well. Okay? No. Okay? I have one for the other night, Randall. Thank you. We're good.
Xerox needs to be made.
It's color. We
You
can't
can get
afford
me
color.
another copy.
Would you like another copy?
I would, thank you.
Anyone else from the audience wish to be heard this evening?
Jack Glazer, 68 Green Hill Road. You're absolutely right. Our education system plays a big role in the ranking of the town. The bad news is our education system's ranking has dropped significantly. The New Jersey Monthly on odd years ranks the towns. On the even years, in September, it ranks the high schools. So our high school didn't get ranked this year by the New Jersey Monthly magazine, but you may have heard Newsweek magazine recently did a nationwide survey, and they ranked the top 500 high schools in the country and the top 100, for instance, in New Jersey. The bad news is, like the town, our school system has dropped significantly. In 2012, we had the 5th best high school system in the state. 5th best. 2012. 2014, we had the 20th. We dropped to 20. The next one will come out in 2016. The only other ratings or rankings that we have, there was one this spring where we came out 85th in New Jersey. Randy and I went to the Board of Education and brought that to their attention. They better start watching their P's and Q's because our rankings are going down, and that's not good for the town, for the students, for the homeowners. I don't know if you know the results of Newsweek, but we didn't make the top 500 and we didn't make the top 100. However, most of the schools or the high schools in the surrounding area did. So we got an issue in town. Not only the town, we've got to look to see what we can do to improve our ranking, because it's so important to the homeowners, but our education system. We've got to get the Board of Education up to speed on this. I was over there at their meeting last week while Randy was here talking to you about the town ranking, and we emphasize how important it is that they really look at, and you look at, the criteria, understand the criteria, and see what we can do to improve in some little way in the various criteria. But I have to agree, the education is a big share of the ranking. But I really hope real soon you start working on this. This is not something we can wait for. Because as Randy said, it's tough to turn it around. And while we're doing it, every other town is doing it. We're not alone. They're not standing still. We can't stand still because they go right past us, and they're going past us as we speak. So I hope you do something, and maybe at the next meeting, share with us what you're going to do.
Well, Jack, I do think that the suggestion to have the coordinating committee start the dialogue and conversation is really important. I think it's a good start point to address the issue. You know, there are a lot of positive things about town. We are ranked 58th in the country as the safest community. So there are a lot of things that are positive here. We just need to build upon that and improve ultimately what we can do to, you know, refocus our efforts, you know, hopefully on helping the school get where they need to be. So.
Well, safety and crime is one of the criteria, so that's one area we can hopefully continue to shine in. But we got to work on it.
Chief of Police is in the back of the room. I'm sure he heard that. So
he is to be complimented.
Anyone else from the public wish to be heard this evening? If not, I'll close the meeting to the public and now move on with the payment. Oh.
Camille Gaines, Wilshire Terrace, Kinnelon. Just one quick comment. I guess to go along with this effort to have better dialogue between the school and the town. I know it seems that it's been impossible to do, but maybe we could try again to maybe not have some of the meetings of the Board of Ed on the same night that the town council has their meetings, so that maybe we could, more of us could, or you can attend their their meetings, and they can attend ours, your meetings, so that, that's been a problem for a long time. I think they did one small change, but there's one more day that you both share, and it seems to be set in stone, but someone needs to be flexible here. So maybe this might be just a big, small suggestion that might be very worthwhile considering. And, it's my own one comment. Thank you.
Great. Thank you.
Might help.
Anyone else from the public wish to be heard this evening? Now close the meeting to the public, and we'll move on to the payment of the bills. List presented dated September 17th. Does anyone on the dais have any questions regarding the bills list? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve.
So moved.
I have a second. I have a motion second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Frida?
Yes.
Councilman O'Dara?
Yes.
Councilman Barris?
Yes.
Councilwoman Senti?
Yes.
And Councilman Giantonio?
Yes.
Thank you. Now, under consent agenda, and just before we take action on this, I just have a question for our attorney, and this is regarding 9/11. This is a resolution basically saying that we're going to introduce an ordinance, if I read that correctly, Mark. This is capital improvements for the installation of a boiler at LaCole. So I'm not sure why we're introducing a resolution to introduce a ordinance.
This is supposed to be an ordinance package. It seems like it got separated. If you look behind that resolution, I also prepared the notice.
Right.
It's called Republic Notice. I don't know if generally when we do a capital ordinance, we introduce resolution. I don't believe we do. So no. I have no problem if we remove this. This would really be part of the introduction of the ordinance, which is Ordinance 1015.
Okay.
You can do that all as one there. I don't necessarily know.
And why does that have to be an ordinance?
Because we're authorizing capital improvements and the expenditures from our capital fund or the LaCole Museum. That has to be done by an ordinance, just like any other capital.
Oh, right, because of capital.
So the draft form ordinance was actually provided to me by Lou May and with Lou May's assistance.
Right.
And so this is the three documents he gave me. I think really it's better if we treat them all as part of the ordinance.
Okay. I appreciate the clarification, Mark. Any questions about any of the other items on the consent agenda? Consent agenda also includes the approval of minutes for May 2015, June 2015, and July 2015, and we'll ask Deputy Clerk to post those as quickly as possible upon approval. I'll ask now for a motion to approve with the removal of 9/11/15.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Frida?
Yes.
Councilman O'Dowd?
Yes.
Councilman Barrett?
Yes.
Councilwoman Senti?
Yes.
And Councilman Giantonio?
Yes.
Thank you. Moving on to new business, we have the introduction of Ordinance 815, which is an ordinance to amend Chapter 186, tree removal. Does anyone from the council wish to discuss the tree removal ordinance? I will tell you that a draft copy was distributed to the council that included Section 186-12, which speaks to appeals. I think we had talked previously regarding really having the appeal process rest with the Environmental Commission. So as we introduce it this evening, it will be with the understanding that there will be an amendment to the appeal section of the introduced ordinance 8-15.
Mayor, if I may, it's important to note that's exactly what our current ordinance says.
Okay.
So our current ordinance that appealed into the Environmental Commission. It was not the intention of this ordinance, I don't think, although it's been through so many drafts and generations, I'm not sure where notes got put in, to change that in any way. So what I would suggest we do, as you said, Mayor, is it will be introduced with the concept that wherever it says in 186-12, Mayor and Council, it will read Environmental Commission, and a conformed document will be sent to Karen tomorrow.
Great. Comments from the council on this ordinance that, as our attorney has properly characterized, has gone through a number of drafting sessions. Comments from the ordinance chair?
If I may, thank you, Mayor. As we all know, this is a long time coming, this tree ordinance. The mayor, in a prior incarnation, had actually drafted a tree ordinance many years ago and tried to get it introduced, and it was, my understanding, I wasn't on the council, but it was heavily opposed and unfortunately was not able to be passed. And there have been concerns expressed to us as a governing body over the past several years about people willy-nilly cutting down trees, and that's a legal term, willy-nilly, just so you know. But seriously, it is a concern to many residents of the town. I took it upon myself to try and revive the tree removal ordinance. I used the mayor's prior draft as a base to start drafting it. Did a lot of reviewing of ordinances around our area. The problem I had, though, is very few towns are situated the way that Kinnelon is, with so much open space that a lot of towns nearby had things like, I'm going to say ornamental trees, but it's not ornamental, but like shade trees and things like that. That really were not the major concern of us here in town. Ours is literally, clearing their property to, build a shed or something like that. So even though I reviewed a dozen or so tree ordinances in the area, they weren't always a lot of help. But with consultation with the ordinance committee and the whole governing board, and as our attorney mentioned, this has been through at least a dozen different revisions, but I think what we've got here is a solid ordinance. It's not overburdensome to people who do want to remove trees. It just keeps a close eye on them so they don't literally and proverbially overstep their bounds. And I think it will help preserve our town's tree growth and keep our property values where they are.
Thank you, Cliff. Anyone else from the council wish to discuss the introduction of the ordinance?
Yes, Mayor. I started working on this with the Environmental Commission probably, I'm going to make a guess, it's been so long, 2007, I think, and it went through several revisions at that point, and as Councilman Giantonio said, we've had several people come before us and with disheartening news of people clear-cutting their properties, and there were just many gaps and holes in our current ordinance that didn't allow for proper tree growth and preservation in the town. And I think this ordinance goes a long way to fixing that problem, and I'm very glad that it's finally being introduced this evening. Thank you to the committee, and thank you to the Environmental Commission.
Thank you, Carol. Anyone else wish to speak to Ordinance 8-15?
Yeah, my only comment is it takes 2 readings to pass this ordinance, so it will go out for the public to read, and please feel free to reach out to us with questions. You know, we worked on this, the 3 of us worked on this for a very long time, and we tried to get it where it was just, it really took the homeowner into consideration, yet we didn't want the clear cutting of trees. But I still have an issue with private property, so if anybody wants to talk to us about it, I'd be willing to listen and then bring it back to the council if there's any questions or problems.
It actually takes...
You know how I roll.
It actually takes 2 readings and or introduction and adoption of ordinance, so this one is similar to every other one, but in fact the public will have an opportunity to address this ordinance when we consider adoption at next month's meeting.
Yes, sir.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to talk about the tree ordinance? If not, I'll ask for a motion to introduce.
I'll make that motion.
Your second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Frida?
Yes.
Councilman O'Dowd?
Yes.
Councilman Barish?
Yes.
Councilwoman Senti?
Yes.
And Councilman Giantonio?
Yes.
Thank you. Whereas the above ordinance was introduced at this meeting held on September 17, 2015, and read by title and passed on first reading, now therefore be resolved that at the regular meeting to be held on October 15, 2015 at 8 p.m. prevailing time at the Kinnelon Municipal Building, this council further consider for second reading and final passage said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the acting clerk of this borough is hereby directed to publish the proper notice thereof. Someone offer that, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next order of business is introduction of Ordinance 9-15, an ordinance establishing salary ranges for the Borough of Kinnelon. This is administrative in nature. We discussed this at our council work session. Does anyone on the dais wish to speak to Ordinance 9-15, an ordinance establishing salary ranges for the Borough of Kinnelon? Hearing none, I'll ask for a motion to introduce.
So moved.
Your second.
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Frida?
Yes.
Councilman O'Dowd?
Yes.
Councilman Barish?
Yes.
Councilwoman Senti?
Yes.
Councilman Giantonio?
Yes.
Whereas the above ordinance was introduced at this meeting held on September 17, 2015, read by title and passed on first reading, now therefore be resolved that at the regular meeting to be held on October 15, 2015 at 8 p.m. prevailing time at the Kinnelon Municipal Building, this council further consider for second reading and final passage said ordinance. Be further resolved that the acting clerk of this borough is hereby directed to publish the proper notice thereof. Someone offer that, please.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Next is the introduction of Ordinance 10-15. This is an ordinance authorizing the capital improvements for the boiler at the LeCole Museum.
Oh. I'm sorry.
That's okay. We are looking to appropriate the sum of $15,000 from the Capital Improvement Fund for the borough for the payment of the cost of that improvement. Does anyone from the council and the dais wish to speak to this ordinance at this time?
Mayor, just one small comment, if I might. You'll note Section 2 of that ordinance specifies costs or the availability of funds of up to $5,500 in costs. That is a typo. It was only intended to be $500 in costs, unless you have a different one up there. Section 2, second to last line of Section 2.
That's not showing here. It says the sum of $15,000, this is section 2, sum of $15,000 and no cents is hereby appropriated to payment of the cost of the improvements authorized described in section 1 herein refers as the purpose. Said appropriation shall be raised from the capital improvement fund of the borough. The sum of $15,000 is hereby appropriated from the capital fund.
He has a different...
I seem to have a different one in my book, and that's okay.
I've got the one you have, Mark.
Yeah.
I have the one you have, which is...
So we're clear, this is $15,000, and the cost should only be up to $500.
How come I have two of them?
Okay. Now, this is the right one. I want to make sure what we introduce is the one we're taking action on. So
mine says $5,500 also.
Okay. So we had a problem with a piece of paper up here. Okay?
But even though it's $15,000, Mayor, it can come in at a lesser cost. Is that correct?
That's correct. It's up to $15,000, so we established a ceiling. But once again, an amount not exceeding $500 for items of expense permitted pursuant to New Jersey State Annotated 48:2-20 is included in the cost here and for the improvement. So $14,500 would actually be the available dollars available. Okay. Now that we have the right ordinance in front of everyone, I'll ask if there's any one from the council that wishes to discuss the introduction of the ordinance.
If I could just say a couple words. I had talked to John Whitehead about that, and because I questioned why is a boiler $15,000. Some people may be asking that question, and it's that amount so that when the boiler is installed, because of the old heating system, that there may be pipes that are found to be a problem or radiators, and this is kind of the overall, so we don't have to go back to the drawing board on this.
Yeah, it's a 20-year-old boiler, and it's in a 1940s house, and pipes can expand, contract, rust. They may have to have some new pipes, et cetera, put in, so...
Mark, I'm going to ask you to clarify something, okay, because we're talking about language that speaks to the installation of a boiler at the LaCole Museum and not a heating system. Are we, in fact, being a little narrow here in the introduction that would prohibit us from using it for the heating system as opposed to just the boiler?
We're fine. I think the intention is boiler with any appurtenances. It doesn't just mean the purchase of a physical unit. Obviously, you need pipes to get to it, you need fittings, you need other items. I'm not concerned.
Okay. So anyone else from the council wish to discuss the introduction of this ordinance? If not, I'll ask for a motion to introduce.
I'll make that motion.
Your second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Frida?
Yes.
Councilman O'Darity?
Yes.
Councilman Barish?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sventi?
Yes.
Councilman D'Antonio?
Yes.
Thank you. Whereas the above ordinance was introduced at this meeting held on September 17, 2015, read by title and passed on first reading, now therefore be resolved that at a regular meeting to be held on October 15, 2015 at 8 p.m. prevailing time at the Kinnelon Municipal Building, this council further consider for second reading and final passage said ordinance. Be it further resolved that the acting clerk of this borough is hereby directed to publish the proper notice thereof. Someone offer that, please?
I'll make that motion.
Your second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you. Tax collectors report and investment officers report.
Tax Collector's Report. During the month of August 2015, the Tax Collector's Office processed a total of $9,900,082.31. The Investment Officer's Report, a total of $876.05 was earned in the interest for the month of August 2015.
Ask Deputy Clerk to file a report as read, and now move on to the payment of the district school tax of $2,959,450.83. Someone offer that, please.
So moved.
Second.
Motion second. Roll call, please.
Councilman Frida?
Yes.
Councilman O'Darity?
Yes.
Councilman Barish?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sventi?
Yes.
And Councilman D'Antonio?
Yes.
Thank you. We discussed at our work session the appointment of Lisa Donnelly Hanks to the Environmental Commission and Tom Klein to the Environmental Commission as well. Any comments or questions about those recommended appointments? If not, I'll ask for a motion to approve the appointments.
I'll make that motion.
Your second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Frida?
Yes.
Councilman O'Darity?
Yes.
Councilman Barish?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sventy?
Yes.
And Councilman D'Antonio?
Yes.
We have two resignations for consideration this evening. One is Lisa Kinkowski, our Kinnelon tax collector, who had been with us for approximately 15 years, and Michael
Propopoulos.
Popoulos is an Open Space Advisory Committee member who is moving on to attend college. I'd just like to talk about Lisa for 1 second before we take action. We're very fortunate to have professionals who have done an exceptional job for a number of years. Borough Hall is pretty quiet these days if you stop by, and that's because we, in fact, have done an exceptional job with shared services. By the same token, we have employees that have time and time again stepped up, taken on responsibilities that go outside of their normal work job description, and I can't tell you enough how proud I am of each and every one of the employees here. They time and time again serve us in a very, very special way. It's just not an employer-employee relationship. So with reference to Lisa, she will be missed. She's offered to assist us with tax sale if, in fact, her new town allows that. So to her credit, she is trying to ensure that we're not left in dire need of a tax collector, although we would in fact intend to hire one near term. Any other comments about any of those resignations? If not, I'll ask someone to offer those with regrets.
I'll make those regrets.
Second?
Second.
Roll call, please.
Councilman Frida?
Yes.
Councilman O'Doherty?
Yes.
Councilman Barish?
Yes.
Councilwoman Sventy?
Yes.
Councilman D'Antonio?
Yes.
Thank you. I'm going to ask that, our attorney frame a motion to go into closed. We have a number of personnel matters to handle this evening, and once again, we're able not to take care of this at the work session because we need to notice some employees. So, Councilor.
My understanding is that it's your pleasure to ask for a motion. The motion would be to go into closed session for the purposes of discussing personnel. That discussion would take a period of approximately 20 minutes. There are no other closed session issues before the council. That upon emerging from that closed session, the council may or may not take action, but there are no additional agenda items, and the council will then proceed to closing the public hearing, which will just enter at the tail end of the closed session. I think it's the council's, the chair's pleasure.
I'll ask for a motion to approve that motion as outlined by our attorney.
So moved.
Your second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We are in closed. Thank you so much to the public for coming out this evening.
So you want to ask something?
Yes. Okay. I'm going to ask for a motion to go back into open.
Make that motion.
A second.
We are back in, all in favor?
Aye.
We are back in open. We conduct business in closed that does not require any further action by the council at this point in time. I will ask if anyone else has anything else that they would like to bring to the table before we adjourn this meeting.
Yeah, Cliff had asked before if Karen had advertised for an assistant, and I'm unclear, she's unclear.
I'm confused.
Are we advertising for a full-time or a part-time?
Did advertise for a full-time, right? That's what we have some responses for.
No, for an assistant for Karen.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
Karen, did you advertise for a full-time? Right?
We advertised for a full-time person that was supposed to be half in Jen's office, half in my office.
So what was the title of the advertisement, though? Was it for clerical assistant?
Clerical assistant or something else.
And did we get any responses? I assume we did.
Yeah, those are the 12 resumes we got, 10 resumes we got.
So I think the question is, do we go part-time or full-time?
I'm confused. I thought we were talking about Anissa's position, not the finance.
Yes.
Right.
Correct.
Carol was talking about Anissa's position, right?
Right.
But just to clarify, we had a full-time position in finance.
Right.
We had a part-time position in the clerk's office.
Right.
The treasurer had told me and Karen that the full-time position in finance is only a part-time position.
Okay.
Okay? With the Oprah request, we've talked about having a full-time position in the clerk's office because now I have the health department official assisting with Oprah request, and she's not able to get her work done. She needs a full-time position in her office. Irrespective of what we do with the finance position, that position needs to be...
So how do we determine what they get paid then, with the union?
There's a scale. Anissa's position was...
Anissa was being paid $10 an hour.
And you're going to be able, if we need to hire someone full-time, they're in the union, and they're not going to work for $10 an hour.
No.
No, they're going to look for
No, I'll take
14, 15 an hour.
Yeah, $10 an hour.
But at full-time, they get health benefits, too.
But we have to have, collectively, we have to have a comfort level that that's the direction we want to go into, that the clerk's office needs support. I mean, right now, she's covering not only clerk's office, but she's also covering the tax department. So
phone operator and
we're basically at
filer
that
and-
critical mass level, but we need to do something here to shore up the staff here to make sure that we can continue operations in a fluid way.
What's your recommendation?
Full-time for her office. If in fact full-time makes sense in finance, we do that too.
Good.
Because look at it this way, you hire somebody part-time in finance and Jen's out, what are you doing? You could possibly have that office being open. You need to staff the offices. We've done a great job through attrition of reducing it down to bare bones, but now we're at that
Right now, there's
critical
5 people in this building.
Yeah. So my recommendation, Jim, is to hire somebody full-time for the clerk's office at a reasonable rate, and then let finance determine...
How do we determine that rate? That's my question.
Let's identify the candidate. I mean, she's got resumes, let's go through them again.
But she'll be in the union, which puts us right back to the 47 dilemma.
But again, is that for
That's not 47.
My office, which is just clerical.
Right.
Oh, okay.
That's purely administration, that's
Is
not...
that the
you know.
10 resumes we have?
Yeah, but they were also advertised for
different.
Jen's office, too. They were supposed to be split between Jen and
So
me.
she's saying that those...
So those resumes really aren't good for me, because they're not going to be doing what Jen's doing.
I think there's both.
Okay.
There's 10 for Jen and there's 10 for her.
So I'll have to re-advertise for just a clerical.
Right, for finance.
Yeah,
She had another 12.
Okay, so let's confirm that.
For her, I think
Yeah,
hers,
go ahead.
They got commingled.
Confirm it.
But let's look at it. But
No.
any objection?
Then
No.
this lady was the only
Any
one.
objection to asking the clerk to identify a candidate for her office that can be interviewed by the Personnel Committee? We need to move sooner than later. Don't fall down, Mark. We don't...
And you're saying...
Identify 3, no?
And you're saying...
Maybe identify 3, so 3 people could be interviewed, the top 3.
He's got somebody else for finance, okay? But let's identify, go through the resumes. If we have to re-advertise, let's re-advertise, but let's get it done.
You don't think those resumes fit what you need?
I will re-look at them.
Okay.
Okay?
If you need help, let me know. But otherwise,
You know,
Good answer?
Mayor, if she goes through the resumes and thinks that those people are overqualified or whatever, and we have to rerun can we give her authority now to do that, or do we have to wait till next?
No, let her run the ad. This is a little bit of a critical point, so I would say if, in fact, let Karen go through identifying what she needs. If she'll reach out to you, doesn't identify anybody, let's re-advertise, let's get additional resumes in.
Okay.
Also, Karen, we need to advertise for those 2 part-time employees, did John tell you, for the DPW for October.
No.
The ones that we had last year, you know what I'm saying, those positions, we need to advertise them if we're going to open in the middle of October. We're just not going to hire the other 2 individuals back. For the DPW
For the
or the
yard.
yard.
Okay, Karen, for the advertisement, do you need to put a salary in?
No.
No.
Oh, okay.
Temporary clerical help is in here for $10 to $30 an hour.
But that's
kind of...
That's part-time, right?
And that's temporary, yeah.
That office used to have 5 people in there, but, okay. Answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Great. Any other business to come before us this evening? If not, I'll ask for a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
Hey.
All in favor? We're done. Thank you. Jim turns off? Yes.